Welcome to the NAHA webinar, brought to you by the National Association for Holistic Aromatherapy. To learn more about NAHA, please visit www.naha.org. Today's presentation topic is Master Blending Aromatherapeutics based on plant chemistry. This educational webinar is being presented by Colleen Quinn. Colleen is a clinical aromatherapist, cosmetic formulator, and researcher. Committed to delivering functional therapeutic plant-based products, Colleen has traveled the globe on a quest for knowledge, innovation, and the best quality ingredients from dedicated, sustainable farmers in order to create therapeutic benefits in skin and healthcare. Colleen had 10 years experience in complementary therapy and clinical aromatherapy when she decided to create her own luxury aromatherapy brand, Lucy Annabella Organics. At this time, she needed to find a solution to the time-consuming, complex mathematical process of essential oil formulations. She embarked on the task of marrying aromatherapy and technology, which led to the creation of Lab Aroma, a revolutionary chemistry-based plant blending tool. 8 years later, and Colleen continues to grow and develop Lab Aroma into the world's leading aromatherapy blending tool, reaching the far corners of the globe with her software now launching in multiple languages. To learn more about Colleen and Lab Aroma, please visit www.labaroma.com, and that's L-A-B and then Aroma, AROMA.com. And I'd like to just take a moment and welcome Colleen and thank her so much for being here all the way from Ireland and sharing her knowledge. And she's also going to take us on a little behind the scenes trip into Lab Aroma today, as well as share with the attendees some handouts with recipes too. So thank you so much, Colleen.
My pleasure, Kelly. I like to do it all when I'm doing it at home.
Thank you.
Okay, so guys, so you ready for me to get going, Kelly?
Yes, you can. Go ahead, girl.
Great, thank you. So Kelly's introduction was pretty comprehensive there. I felt like she was doing my mini autobiography. So thank you for that lovely introduction, Kelly. So to you, lovely attendees, so many of you, thank you so much for attending live, or if you're watching the replay on the portal, thank you for watching the replay. What I'm going to do in the webinar today is take you through master blending aromatherapeutics based on plant chemistry. If you have no idea what that means, don't worry, you will within the next 60 minutes. So the basis of this webinar and the basis of why I exist in my working world is on this philosophy. When we know the chemistry behind the plants we work with, we can create more effective blends. I live by that principle. I wholeheartedly believe that when we know our chemistry, our plant chemistry, when we understand our phytochemicals, we have the knowledge and tools to be more effective in our work and with our clients. So in this webinar, I want to give you an insight into the impact blending with chemistry will have on your aromatherapy formulations. You do not have to be a chemist in order to understand your phytochemistry. It's just a matter of understanding the core phytochemicals that exist in so many of our plants and how they behave together, whether they like each other, whether they don't like each other, and what happens whenever we marry them intelligently together. So by the end of our time together, today or tonight, whenever you're watching, you're going to understand the benefits of blending based on chemistry. Now, just to give you a disclaimer, that doesn't mean that energetic aromatherapy or holistic aromatherapy or spiritual aromatherapy or blending on any of those modalities is not relevant. It is, and I work in those fields as well. But tonight we're going to focus on chemistry. If we blend on chemistry, what happens to our formulations and how can our essential oils work smarter for us? So Kelly done a beautiful introduction. So for you guys that don't know me, this is me. As Kelly said, I'm a clinical aromatherapist, and that is where my heart lies. No matter what I do every day, working with the plants is where I spend the majority of my time, and that's where I'm happiest. I'm a cosmetic formulator, I'm a cannabis researcher and an international speaker, although that feels like a cheat these days. An international speaker who speaks internationally from the same seat. Hopefully travel will happen again next year, and we will I'll be back on stages teaching from there. But for now, I do it from this lovely seat in the same place in Ireland. So we will give you contact details to me, guys. So if any of you, as Kelly has said, if you have questions throughout the Q&A or throughout the webinar, feel free to pass them in and Kelly will manage those. But you can also reach me directly and I'll give you my contact information at the end as well. So if you want to reach out to me and the team for anything at all related to any of this work or the webinar or anything else, or just to say hi, you're always welcome to do that. So this is what we're going to look at. Essential oils which are helpful when creating a wound healing skin preparation. We're going to look at effective phytochemicals when creating a wound healing skin preparation, and we're going to look at how to make essential oil substitutions based on plant chemistry. So our focus in this webinar, in order to make this really concise and beneficial to you, I want you to walk away today feeling empowered, but also with a skill set that helps you actually apply what you learned today to your real work. So we're going to focus, instead of me trying to teach you 40 different conditions, I'm going to just focus on wound healing skin preparations, on which essential oils are helpful, which phytochemicals are helpful, and then how do we make essential oil substitutions. So essential oils have been used since ancient times for their aromatic and therapeutic properties. Long before we understood the complex and intricate chemistry of how the chemical compounds in each plant affect our body and mind, we were using them successfully. So as much as I am very science focused and very research focused, we have to remember that for a very, very long time, anecdotal evidence was what we lived on. Now, it's wonderful that we have clinical evidence now, and it's wonderful that the medical community now support essential oils a lot more than they did previously. But we also have to remember that the chemistry matters, but our experience with the plants is equally as valid. So the advantage when working with essential oils is the time we have had to research and clinically understand how these plants work together within our physiological and psychological systems. So the fact that we've had time with these plants is brilliant. And I suppose I'm so happy that we've had time to create research, anecdotal evidence, clinical experience, and clinical understanding with essential oils. My other hat is in the world of hemp and cannabis, and we don't have that luxury, not to the same extent. So we're very fortunate as aromatherapists to be able to support not only our plants, but our work with so much evidence that's out there today. So let's look at wound healing skin preparations. When we're creating a wound healing skin preparation, we want a blend rich in phytochemicals that are regenerative, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, as well as antimicrobial. We want all of those properties within our wound healing skin preparation. So some chemical compounds known to be effective when treating a wound healing preparation are, we're going to look at three, okay? Three in particular for now. The first one is limonene, okay? Now, I'm not going to give you a massive amount of detail on the chemistry. There's loads of details in Lab Aroma, and user aromatherapists or you're in this world, so you recognize this. And if you don't, you can always ask. So limonene has a citrus aroma. It's known to be anti-carcinogenic, antidepressant, and anti-inflammatory, as well as a stress reducer. Now, a little piece of information. I'm going to give you snippets throughout the webinar that you may not know. Pine species, so pine species of essential oils rich in L-limonene can promote skin healing. So when you think of limonene, you're thinking of grapefruit and orange and yuzu and those citrus essential oils. But actually, if you look a bit deeper, the pine species that are rich in L-limonene are very effective for skin preparations and skin healing as well. So if we look at some of the essential oils, and some of these will already have sprung to your mind, the minute I said the word limonene, some of you will already automatically think of these essential oils. So these are essential oils, some examples of essential oils that are rich in limonene, and then the percentages on average of limonene that is in each essential oil. So orange typically has about 95% limonene. Grapefruit has 94. So those two oils are primarily limonene, okay? Which is not that uncommon. That happens in aromatherapy quite often, where our essential oils are predominantly one component. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. So orange and grapefruit are your two limonene, your real limonene Rambo essential oils. Mandarin green has 73%, lemon has 69, and lime has 50. Now don't forget, those percentages are on average, depending on where the plants are grown, on the rainfall, but that the year of the harvest, when the harvest is, the environment in which they're grown, all of those factors make a difference to the chemical composition of your essential oil. So these are a nice, stable, average guide for you. Don't panic if you bought a lime essential oil last week and the GC says 45%. That's okay, or 52%. That's normal, okay? So then we look at A-pinene. So A-pinene is the polar opposite of limonene. It is a pine aroma. It is known to be antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, a bronchodilator, as well as improving memory retention, which is where it's used a lot for neurodegenerative conditions. Now, a little snippet of information, guys. When a species of juniper essential oil is rich in A-pinene, especially when paired with the phytochemical sebenine and L-limonene, it can be very effective for wound healing. So I'm kind of giving you a bit of a synopsis here, a bit of an insight into the theory of synergistic aromatherapy, which is certain types of essential oils with certain phytochemicals will do a particular thing to the body. So what we know here is that juniper essential oil that if you can find a species of juniper essential oil that is rich in A-pinene, it is going to be very powerful for wound healing, especially if it contains sebenine and L-limonene. Now, essential oils rich in A-pinene, and I put a couple of wild cards in here for you guys. Canuka is one. It's 63%. I know you were expecting me to put in all the pine species, but I want you to think outside the box, okay? So Canuka is 63% on average, A-pinene. Frankincense is 63 as well. Cypress and Eucalyptus globulus is about 16. I've gave you the Latin guys as well, so if you want to check out the particular species, you can do that, okay? Now, sebenine. Maybe a phytochemical you don't know as well, or maybe you're not as familiar with it. You definitely would have learnt it in your studies, but maybe it's one you're just not, it's not as common. So sebenine has a, how do I explain? It's got an herbal aroma, but it's very earthy, I would say, probably more earthy than herbal, but it's, you know that smell. It's got that proper plant smell. It's known to be anti-inflammatory, antifungal, antimicrobial, an antioxidant, as well as being antibacterial. So quite the Rambo, okay? It is known to be anti-inflammatory and can contribute to wound healing. So sebenine is nearly like the Florence Nightingale of wound healing in that it's not necessarily used for tissue repair, it's used to deal with the actual wound heal. So the pain of the area, reducing the inflammation, which then in turn will reduce the pain. So it's not necessarily going to regenerate that wound, it's going to help with the inflammatory reaction that is happening because of the wound. Okay, so let's look at some of the essential oils that are rich in sebenine. So Ply essential oil is one of them, and it's at 32%. Yarrow is another one, and I adore yarrow, especially for wound care. It's at 23%. Nutmeg, 22%. Blue tansy, another one of my favorites, is 18%. Juniper is 13%, and bay laurel is around 10%. So if you look at that range of essential oils, it's quite an array of different essential oils from different plant families, but what they have in common is the sebenine. So let's look at some essential oils known to be effective when creating a wound healing skin preparation. So first we're going to look at juniper. You're going to recognize some of these guys, and we've already looked at some of them because of their content of that phytochemical. So let's look at juniper in relation to these three phytochemicals. Apinine's in there at 18%, limonene at 7%, and sebinene at 3%. So in total, you're going to have about 27% of the component. 28%, I can't count. 28% of those three components make up juniper essential oil. There is a reason that I would use juniper. The three components I want are in there at a decent representation and enough for me to select juniper in my blend. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to read this to you. You get these slides, guys, and you're welcome to read these in your own time. It's kind of a refresher of your materia aromatica. So you've got juniper essential oil. The one I'm looking at is from Bosnia. Now, we know that juniper, outside of the chemical compounds, is a pain reliever, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, and those are the things I want to use it for today, okay? The monoterpene concentration of juniper is 82%, and the sesquiterpene concentration is just over 10%. So the majority of this plant is made up of terpenes. Frankincense essential oil. Frankincense is going to have 63% apinine, 4 limonene, and 1 sebinene. Okay, so again, we're doing brilliantly. It's got 68% of the total three chemicals, so a lot more than the juniper. And we know straight away from our experience that frankincense is brilliant for wounds, and the chemistry supports that. So again, here is our frankincense. This one is from Somalia. The terpene concentration is just over 90%. So again, primarily terpene. It's anti-inflammatory, pain relieving, antioxidant, and it's going to help with skin cell regeneration, which is exactly what we want, okay? And we know it's particularly helpful to heal scars and minor topical injuries, okay? I also like frankincense in this blend, guys, for the emotional support it gives. When there's a wound, there will be some level of trauma, and I always like to try to consider it holistically. And I'm happy that I've got frankincense based on my chemistry, but my brain automatically says, brilliant. I also know it'll help with trauma, and it's wonderful to heal skin, especially whenever there's a scar. So eucalyptus globulus, okay, might feel a bit strange for a wound, okay? Let's look at my logic. Apinine at 16%, limonene at 5%, but no sebinene. So I'm going to work on the theory that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. And I'm going to be happy that I've got 21% in total of 2 of my 3 favored components, okay? Eucalyptus globulus. So this one is from Portugal. And unlike my other 2 essential oils, the terpenes are only at 23%, but my oxides are about just over 65%, which is incredibly high. Now, it may not feel like your typical go-to for wound care, but there is logic to it, okay? It is also pain relieving, antibacterial, which we want, antimicrobial, which we want, as well as being antioxidant. So my 4th one, which is Scots pine. My apinine, as expected, is high. It's at 40%, limonene at 3%, and sebinene 0.1%. So really good. We've got over 43% of my 3 components, with apinine stealing the show as expected. Now, this particular pine of mine is from Italy, and my monoterpenes are at 87%. Now, pine is brilliant for wound care, but the main reason I have it in here is for its pain relieving and anti-inflammatory properties. Okay. Now, let's look at this preparation. And I'm going to show you on this on Lab Aroma as well, guys, okay? So you can see it in real life and in an interactive way. So I've given you this blend. I want to give you a very versatile option with this blend. So instead of me putting it into a base or putting it into a wound in some way, like a wound dressing in some way, I decided to give you the recipe as a 100% essential oil stock bottle preparation, which can be used in various bases depending on the wound. So you can make this as a stock bottle, then dilute it down or add a few drops to a hydrosol if you want to spray the area. You can add it to a cream or balm, completely dependent on the wound, which is the reason I didn't actually give you a full base preparation, because depending on the wound, you're going to do different things. And actually, you're probably going to use different bases as the wound progresses towards healing. If it's very painful and it cannot be touched, a hydrosol spritz might be the first solution. Then you might move to adding it in, in a honey base or in a wax base into a wound dressing, or neat into a wound dressing if that's appropriate. And then also you might decide to turn it into a serum to work on the scar. So there's multiple different ways you can use this essential oil blend, and I didn't want to limit your creativity, okay, or challenge it. So what we have done here is a very simple, straight down the middle, 25% each, 4 ways essential oil blend: eucalyptus globulus, frankincense, juniper, and pine. Okay, so let's look at the results, and I will show you this on Aroma where it might be slightly easier to read. So in the recipe, we end up with 63% terpenes, 17% oxides, which we know is our eucalyptus globulus, a few ketones, a few esters, and a few other small families being represented. But let's identify our 3 main components of interest. So our pine is represented at 35.38%. So a third of this recipe is A-pinene. Our limonene, between our limonene and our L-limonene, we have a total of 4.4, which is lovely. And our sevenine is in there at 1.4. We knew sevenine was going to be the lowest because it is represented in the lowest quantity throughout all of the oils, and it's missing in one of them. But to have it at 1.4 is brilliant. So let's just look at this on Aroma. And let's hope my technology likes me today. Yay! Okay, guys, what do you say? It'll log me out. Okay, so there we go. There's the old version of me. So if you guys have never seen Aroma, this is Aroma. This is your dashboard page. So if you are a Aroma user, this is familiar to you. So to make a blend, you simply go in here, and I'm going to do this with you today, okay? And we'll do it really quick. So we're going to do wound healing prep 1. I'm just going to call it NAHA because this is where we are. Okay, so I don't do spell check, guys. We'll work on that. So we've got the wound healing skin preparation. I'm going to save that in my Aroma blends. I'll save it in my webinar blends. Okay, so I have got my category, so I know where I want to save it. Now I am simply going to locate my 4 oils because I've done the research. I know what I want. I've figured it all out. So first up, I'm going to grab my frankincense, and I'm literally going to search along the bottom for my frankincense. I'm going to grab my Scots pine, which is somewhere around here. You guys will probably see it before me. I'll grab my eucalyptus globulus, and my other one I'm going to grab. So I'm going to grab my juniper, and I am literally going 25% each way. Now, if you don't blend in percentages, I apologize. The reason I blend in percentages is for accuracy. Drops is not an accurate metric. I completely understand they're immensely useful. But let's say you make this blend and it's so brilliant, and someone, let's say using a family member, and they come back and say, I really want more of that, or I want to keep some of that stock bottle for me, and you want to scale that blend up. If you've created it in drops, it's very hard to scale that up accurately. If you create in percentages, Aroma will do that for you, and there's more chance of you creating an accurate blend, whether you scale up or scale down. So I have went my 25% the whole way across. I can click on any of these guys, and I can go in and see my full recipe, my full essential oil information. We've got the core, I call it the DNA information of my essential oil. So the family, the Latin, some safety, some therapeutic information, and then I have my chemistry. And in case you're ever wondering what a monoterpene is, and maybe you just can't remember, there's a lot to remember. You click on any of these families and you get a reminder. So we give you a very simple chemical reminder as well as a therapeutic reminder as to what a monoterpene is. And then, as always, we like to bring up practicalities. We give you examples of essential oils that are rich in certain chemical compounds within that family. So for example, sweet orange is 94% limonene. Okay. We also give you a diagram in case you're a visual learner. So all of those wee reminders are there, and you can visit any of those at any time. And below the chemical family, we give you the chemical components. So you can see which chemical component not only belongs to that chemical family, but how is it represented in the essential oil. And here we can see that A-pinene is 63% in this frankincense. And for the most common chemical compounds, we give you I kind of call it like a synopsis reminder. It's not as detailed as the family information, but it's definitely nice to get a quick reminder that A-pinene is anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, antifungal, antispasmodic, and antiviral. Okay, and we've done that for about 150 of the compounds. So the most common ones, guys. Okay, so that all that information is there, and it is available in all of the essential oils as well as the vegetable oils, herbal ingredients. There's more, and cosmetic ingredients, and then your favorites, which might be ones you've added yourself. Okay, now back to our blend. This is really simple, guys, because we're going to make 100% stock bottle blend. So we're going to make, in this section, you select the percentage of essential oil in your blend. Well, it's simple. We're not using a base. We're just using essential oils. So we have 100%. And what volume of the blend do I want to make? I'm just going to make a 10 ml, okay? And I'm going to pour. So it's going to be a 10 ml. So I'm going to change this from 100. 100 ml is a bit much. If I make a mistake, I can start again, or I can always add more circles. So I can add as many ingredients as I want. There's no limit. And then I hit calculate. And as I scroll down, it gives me my results. So I've got 4 oils at 25% each equally. I have no base. And I am using a 100% essential oil blend with no base. And here is the amount of essential oil I need to make my 10 ml stock bottle blend. Okay. You can change that to drops, guys. And we work to the principle that 1 ml is 26 drops. Okay. So you can change that. And if you wanted to measure it in drops instead of mils, then it's 65 drops each. Okay. Just be aware the viscosity of each essential oil is slightly different. So a 65 drop metric of frankincense could be slightly different from 65 of Scots pine, which is why I love scales. I measure everything. Okay, so here we have our chemical analysis. So just like I showed you in the slide deck, you have your chemical families. Again, your refreshers are there in case you want a wee reminder, and your chemical compounds are here. So our A-pinenes here, just like we discussed, our limonene and our L-limonene and our theanine is all there. You can see the 1,8 cineol is a 17%, and that is because of the eucalyptus globulus. Okay, but we know that's okay. That'll fight hard for us to make sure that there's no bacterial infection sets into that wound. It'll certainly help to prevent that. Okay, now this is what I call in Aroma the hard analysis. This is what I call the science. There's not much arguing with the science and the math. Okay. The softer analysis are below, and I'll run through them quite quickly with you guys, okay? So this gives you an indication as to what note your blend is going to have. So 2 of the essential oils are top notes, 1 is a top middle note, and frankincense is a base note. So this is going to be a pretty top note heavy blend, okay? It's not going to put us to sleep. It's definitely going to invigorate us. Then we give you some physical effect analysis. So how does this blend actually work in terms of physical effect? Now, this is why we call it soft analysis. We give you the information based on ranking. So what we've done is on the back end of Aroma, which we now show you on the front end, we rank every essential oil between 0, 1, 2, 3. An essential oil will get a 3 when it has a very powerful effect on that part of the body. So as you can see, Scots pine and eucalyptus globulus both rank at a 3 for the respiratory system. That makes sense, okay? Musculoskeletal is the second most affected system here, followed by circulatory, immune, and skin. And frankincense has a 3. Now, we're trying to treat skin, but we're also trying to treat inflammation, pain, and we want to regenerate the skin. So the fact that the skin is the 5th system is not the end of the world to me. Now, if we were making this blend as a PMT solution or, a female hormonal solution, I would say, okay, we probably need to go back to the start. But this is fine. I'm happy with this because we're working on chemistry. We know, then we give you an indication based on psychological effect also. It's going to be energizing. We knew that. And that's because of our Scots pine, our eucalyptus, and our juniper. Okay. Our frankincense is going to be meditative. But we know overall this blend is going to be more energizing than meditative. So just to finish up, you can add notes here, guys. If you want to keep notes for yourselves, or you're using the blend for a family, friends, or a client, and you want to give them some instructions, you can do that. You can save it as a PDF, save to my blends, cost my blend, or you can print. And when you print, this is very neat, sorry, when you save as PDF, this is very neat. You can select what you want to save. You don't have to save everything. You might not care about the physical and psychological effect, or alternatively, you might not care about the chemistry. Or if you're giving it to a client, you might simply give them the blend and the notes, but you can select whatever you want. If you were submitting this for a case study for your studies, you would select all, okay? You can cost your blend. So you simply say, in US dollars, I want to make 10 mils. You set your metric, so we can change it if we want, and we cost it. And that's going to cost £20. Now that price is based on the retail cost supplied by the suppliers who supply us with their GCs, okay? In all of the information sheets, in these sheets that I showed you, you can change that. So if my cost for my eucalyptus globulus in a 15 mil is $10.05, and you think, well, that's too high, I pay a lot less, you simply edit it and save it. It means your costing tool is more accurate for you. So I'm simply going to save that, save to my blends, and it will save to my blends. And if I search NAHA, in my, I have to search because my catalogs are huge. I have one blend for NAHA, and I can view it here. I can duplicate it, I can edit it, I can bin it, or I can view it. Okay, now back to the slides. Okay, perfect. So this is where we got to. Now, the big question is, how can we substitute an essential oil based on chemistry? And how will this action affect the chemistry of the overall blend? So that is the biggest question. And it's a question I get asked every single week. I release a brand new recipe every single Thursday if you're on our emailer list, or it comes out on a Friday to social media. And it's the question I get every week. Okay, this is beautiful, but I don't have such and such, so what can I substitute it with? And there's times the substitution, it's better to leave it out, okay? And other times, based on chemistry, we can make an incredibly effective substitution. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's look at how to make essential oil substitutions based on chemistry. So Ply essential oil is our first possible essential oil substitution. And we have really flipped the tables here. 17 in Ply is at 31%, okay? Unlike our first 4 essential oils where it was either very low or not there at all. A-pinene is at 1% and limonene is at 0.7, whereas in our first 4 oils, they were far higher, okay? Now, Ply essential oil is beautiful. It's an oil, I have to admit, I've only been using for about 4 years, and I adore it. And every year I find more and more reasons to implement it into my work, which is very exciting and beautiful. I love finding new oils. Now, my Ply originates from Thailand. It is known to be antimicrobial, antiviral, antifungal, anti-inflammatory, carminative to the digestive system. It's tonifying to the digestive system. It's antioxidant, and it's very good, as you can imagine, at clearing bugs and germs. Okay, so used typically in digestive blends and colds and flus, immune support blends like terrain support blends, but it's brilliant for reducing pain and inflammation. Okay. Now, yarrow. Okay, yarrow essential oil is one that you probably thought of at the very start of the webinar. When you seen me mention wound care, you probably thought German chamomile, yarrow, this is what she's going to talk about. And I deliberately didn't put German chamomile in here because I want you to think outside the box, okay? Yarrow essential oil is beautiful. 70 is at 23%, A-pinene is at 3, and limonene is 0. So what I want to show you here, what I'm working to show you, is that the 3 chemicals we want to work with matter, okay? They don't always have to be, the essential oils don't always have to be high in them all equally. They don't all have to be high in limonene. As long as the 3 components are in there at some level, then it's an adequate substitution, okay? So yarrow essential oil, for you guys that have never worked with it, I adore yarrow. It's about 45 to 50% monoterpene concentration. Mine is from Bulgaria. It is a beautiful flower, and because of the camelline component in it, it is blue. Okay, it's a very dark blue, like German calamine. It's a beautiful essential oil. I use it a lot in a spiritual way, actually. I know it's not people's default with yarrow, but it has become one of my defaults with yarrow. I like it for helping to work through sticky emotions. I would put it like that, sticky emotions, things that are sticking in you that you're having trouble to move. It's very good. It works very well on emotional trauma, which is why it's brilliant in a wound care blend as well. Okay. Now, it's brilliant for treating skin conditions. We know that. Very, very good for allergy conditions, helps to heal skin, and it's brilliant as an antimicrobial as well, which we want because, you know, we have the hygienic situation with the skin wound, as well as trying to repair the skin and deal with the inflammation and the pain. Okay, so yarrow is an all-rounder in this blend. So let's look at our second option. So I have put in my ply and my yarrow. I've kept my juniper, my frankincense. I've removed my eucalyptus globulus, and I've also removed my, I'm having brain freeze. Oh, my Scots pine. So what we've done is we took out eucalyptus globulus and Scots pine. So eucalyptus globulus was going to be my first casualty here, excuse the pun. Because of the oxide content, I want that, but I don't want to use that level of oxide content on tiny little kids. So I want to be easier on their skin. So for that reason, my ply and my yarrow are gentler. So this can be used with gentler situations, okay? Or it can be used in situations where the wound care isn't that severe and it's a smaller wound and it's not that traumatic and you can handle a gentler formulation. Then this is perfect. Again, I kept it simple by going with your 25s across the board, okay? Now, how does the chemistry change? So our monoterpenes are slightly different. They were 63 previously, now they're 61. We have monoterpenols this time, which were tiny the last time, and our oxides have plummeted to 1.65, okay? Our apinine is at 21, which is a lot lower. Our 7ine has dramatically increased from 1% up to 16, and our limonene is at 2, okay? It's nearly at 3. If you combine L-limonene and limonene, it's nearly at 3. So slightly different chemistry, guys. So let's look at those two together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a duplicate. So I'm going to duplicate it. It'll go into my unsaved blends. I'm going to search NAHA. There we go. I have 2 blends for NAHA. One has not been categorized, which is the one I just edited. I'm going to view it. You need to see this. Sorry, guys. There we go. That's better. I will do that again. Sorry, guys. I got all excited. So I'm going to search my NAHA and I go to my blend. I'm going to duplicate it. Instead of me making it all again, I'm simply going to duplicate it. I search I know where it goes, but I'm going to make life easier for you and show you where it is. So if I search my NAHA, I'm going to have it in the uncategorized blend and I'm going to view it. Now I'm going to rename it because that's what I want to do. And it's not a copy, it's the version 2. And I'm going to save it in my webinar blends. Filing and organizing keeps me happy. So this is our original blend. I'm going to make my substitutions. So I'm simply going to drag out my eucalyptus globulus, drag out my pine. I'm going to find ply, which is going to be in here somewhere. There it is. And if you've never heard of it or you're new to it, open it up and have a read. Have a read of it, learn about it. It's affordable. It's an affordable essential oil. And it has 1/8 cineol, but a lot lower than eucalyptus globulus. Okay. And then I am going to grab my yarrow. So my yarrow's here, and I'm going to use my Bulgarian yarrow. And I'm keeping everything equal, guys. I'm keeping it at 25%. I calculate. And here we go. I've got my 25s of each, 100% stock bottle blend, 10 mils, and here is my total blend. And there is my chemistry, and it is different. We have got 21% apinine, 7-ines at 16, and then our limonenes at 3 in total. Okay, slightly different. But Look at the notes. We have one top middle, one middle base, and one base. So aromatically, it's nowhere near as potent. It's going to be a lot more balancing. And skin climbs up to 2. So if you were uncomfortable with skin being a 5 and you thought, I hear your logic, Colleen, but I want my skin to be higher, then your skin's up at 2. Because ply ranks as a 2, as frankincense is a 3, as is yarrow. So ply and yarrow, their chemistry likes skin a lot more powerfully. So, successful substitutions. It's meditative and balancing, which might be more appropriate when you're treating wounds, especially in younger people. And there you go. I'm going to save that to my blends. And then I'm going to show you side by side how they look. Okay? I can feel your questions coming in. So, blend 1 and blend 2. Our apinine, as a refresher, was over 35%, limonene 2.45, cevenine 1.44, and the total was 39.27. So nearly over a third of the entire blend comprised of our 3 phytochemicals that we are focusing on today. The second one had lower apinine at nearly 22%. The limonene was half at 1.11. And the cevenine was dramatically higher at 16.26. But the total is 38.35. There is only 1% of difference between the chemical composition of our 3 phytochemicals in either blend. Okay? You could do an A/B test on this and use one blend on one part of the wound and the second blend on another part of the wound and see what the difference is. If it was me, I would go with my second blend because I want the cevenine content. Okay. I can't wait to hear your questions. I'm dying to know if that is something that completely blows your mind, or were you aware that by literally substituting half the blend but focusing on chemistry, you would come up with the same chemical composition for the 3 phytochemicals, which are of most relevance in this blend. That's going to be my biggest question to you guys. All to say, the secret to truly effective therapeutic plant remedies is through understanding our plant chemistry. And that should be really, really, really clear now. Now, before I round up, I do want to just show you another thing on Aroma because I know it's going to be your first question. You're thinking, okay, this is great, Colleen, but what happens if I actually want to add this to a base? So I'm going to show you how to do that really easily. And you might be a Aroma user or not, but either way, it'll be helpful to see. So if we go to our second blend, so here it is. So I'm going to keep my percentages at 25 across the board, but I'm going to add a base. And I'm going to add a water base. I'm going to treat this as a severe wound that actually can't be touched, and I'm just going to spritz onto it, or to cool it, to help with the anti-inflammatory reaction, or as soak gauze that I'm going to put onto the wound in a dressing. So I'm going to go for my hydrosols, which are in herbal and other ingredients. You can also just search here, guys. So I am going to look for my lavender. There you go, lavender hydrosol. And I would like to use yarrow hydrosol as well. Not just because yarrow essential oil is in the recipe, but I love, sorry guys, I bounced back too quick. I love yarrow hydrosol for cooling. It's beautiful and it's soothing and it's cooling. The aroma of yarrow hydrosol is different from the essential oil. It's a lot gentler, but it's, how do I explain it? If any of you guys have smelt it, I'd love to know. Yarrow hydrosol is a lot more floral than actually the essential oil and very comforting. I find it very comforting. So if I'm going to make a hydrosol, I am going to probably make it, say, 50 ml. So let's say I use 25 ml of each. Let's do an equal split. 25 ml of each, okay? My essential oils are the same. I've got 25% of each, and I've got 25 ml of 25 ml of lavender hydrosol and 25 ml of yarrow hydrosol. Your biggest decision now is how much of that do I want to be essential oil? And I'm just going to say 2%. I want 2% of my total product to be the essential oil. And I'm going to make a 50 ml product. You don't have to worry about doing the maths between changing these percentages or making room in your base for the essential oil. Aroma will do that for you. All you need to do is tell Lab Aroma how much essential oil you want in your final product and what size are you making. So I'm making 2% essential oil blend in a 50 ml product. I hit calculate, and here we go. I have my 4 essential oils, 25% each, as planned. I have 2 25 mils of hydrosol, yarrow and lavender. I have decided I want 2% essential oil, and Lab Aroma has told me, okay, that's fine. You're going to have a 98% base, which makes sense. So Lab Aroma has dropped my hydrosols down to 24.5 mil and told me that I need 0.25 mil of each essential oil. I'm never going to weigh 0.25 mil of an essential oil. So if I move this to drops, there we go. I need 7 drops of each essential oil. Again, I'm not going to drop my hydrosol, so you can just use your mil metric. So if you change your mind and say, I'm gonna weigh this, I'm not going to pour it, it'll give you your grams, okay? It'll do all of the metrics that we offer you here, ounce, gram, mil, and drop. Your chemistry doesn't change if you change your metric, guys, okay? And the beautiful thing about this is that when you measure in your percentages, it's more accurate, and it gives you the ability in the future to scale up or scale down your blend without affecting the chemistry, okay? Now, the big thing you're going to see here is that because your blend has went from 100% stop bottle blend to a 2% hydrosol blend, your chemistry's dramatically plummeted, which makes sense. And it's as we would expect. Your monoterpenes are 1.24%, your monoterpenols are 0.25, and your apinine is down at 0.4. Now, for the purpose of showing you chemistry and showing you how to substitute, it's so much easier and more accurate to show it as a stock bottle. But this is the reality of life. The reality of his life is that we don't pour pure essential oil onto a wound. That is a crazy idea. We should never ever do that. We put it into a base where it'll heal and it'll help, okay? And it's supported by other plant mediums like butters and waxes and oils and waters and beautiful things. And this is your chemistry in reality. Looks a lot safer, doesn't it? So there you go, guys. That is your blend. Now let me just flip back for you. Okay, so just to finish off before we jump into Q&A. Sorry, I am going to go back 1 second. In case you're at a student stage or the chemistry is something you're only embracing now in life, I'm just going to save that, guys. If the chemistry is only something you're embracing now in life, this is super helpful. Search by component is an incredible feature. So, and it's one we bury up here. I don't know why. We will bring that out and give it its own title soon. It's my favorite feature. It's so helpful, especially if you're a student or even if this webinar stimulated you to re-embrace chemistry, then this is a great way to start. So if you're saying, okay, this is great, and I've never heard of 17 and I want to learn more about it, you can go into this component search and discover so much information. So if you decide to say, okay, I want to find an essential oil that is greater than or equal to, let's say 4%, 17. Lab Aroma helps you as you start to, because chemistry is hard to spell. So as you start to type it, we predict what you're asking us. So what we're saying is that we want to find an essential oil that is greater than or equal to 4%, 70. We submit that. Here is all the essential oils, guys, that are 4% 17. Now, if I want to go back there and say, okay, I don't think we have so many answers, I want to get a more, I want to narrow this list down, then you simply go back, you start to type it in. Let's put it up to 10% this time and see what we get. We still get quite a few. So our yarrow's there, sorrow, which is beautiful, is there, ravanzara, cly, we knew nutmeg was high, juniper, Hinoki cypress, blue tansy, which we said was high, and bay laurel is also high. You click on any of those and it takes you in to see the essential oil and the data. And 17 is in there somewhere. There we go, 10.2% on the monoterpene family within bay laurel. Okay, that's a really, really, really useful and quick way to figure out exactly what essential oil contains the chemistry that you want. Okay, no matter what you're making or what you're blending on, if you know what chemistry you want, then you just pop in there and discover it. So guys, just to say, to bring you my experience with plant science and formulations within aromatherapy, is a complete honor. I could do this all day long. Talking about chemistry and talking about plants is a complete honor. So thank you for attending and watching the replay, whether you're live or not. There's so many of you live, and I'm so grateful for your time, especially on a Saturday. I hope this was immensely beneficial. I hope no one's head hurts too much. Chemistry can be a wee bit painful. So some good news. The 2 wound healing skin preparation recipes that I done for you today are in your handouts. So in your in the panel, in your admin panel for GoToWebinar, you can see that the Aroma recipes are there, as well as the webinar deck. So guys, they're all there for use, and some safety information is on there also. So they're all there, they're complimentary, and they're to you, okay? If you want to reach me, you can get me at labaroma.com, where you can discover all about what we do. And you can also reach me directly at support@labaroma.com. So you can email me there, whether you want to ask a further question about the webinar, or maybe we didn't get to it in the Q&A, which we will do next, or maybe you have a question that's totally unrelated. Just drop me a question. Make sure that you let me know you were on our webinar or you watched the webinar on replay. I'd love to hear from you. Any feedback you have or anything that you would love me to talk about more, I'm more than happy to do that. And just to say before we jump into the Q&A, also, I don't know if I told you this, Kelly, I do a weekly call on a Wednesday. It's on Facebook, which isn't ideal. We're hoping to move that platform, but we will. But for now, it's at 4 p.m. PST every Wednesday. And it's unstructured. I pop on with a cup of tea for 30, 60 minutes, whatever you guys need, and you can come and ask me questions. They're all recorded and posted afterwards. So if you can't make that time, you can just pre-submit a question. The community group is free to come into. You just ask to be invited. We just try to manage. We like to have aromatherapists and people that are keen in there. So we manage the audience a little bit, because we want everyone to learn from each other as much as you learn from me. So that's every Wednesday in the Lab Aroma community group. You can just go to the Lab Aroma community group on Facebook and ask to be invited, and we'll let you in, no problem. And you can talk to me every Wednesday, and it's live. You can ask me questions directly, and it's so helpful. I'm only about 10% of the novelty in there. The other 90 is what you learn from each other, and it's the more the community grows, it's beautiful to watch you all to learn from each other and support each other, which is really, really nice. Okay, Kelly, would I go into the chest?
Thank you so much. What a wonderful webinar. Wonderful. Yes, go ahead and let them know about your special offer. That would be great.
Yes, thank you. So guys, you can sign up to Lab Aroma for a discount. So your discount code is NAHA 2020. You simply go to labaroma.com and go to the sign up section. Make sure you put in your discount code. It'll ask you for your discount code. If you purchase and don't put in the discount code, don't worry, we refund you the difference. But when it asks the discount code in the payment page, just you put in your NAHA. It means you get Lab Aroma for $80, 80 US dollars for the year. So instead of 150, you get it for 80, okay? And that's with your NAHA discount code, which is NAHA 2020, okay?
Well, thank you so much for the wonderful webinar and the discount for our memberships. Members, we really appreciate that so much. And for those that are new to chemistry or those that are wanting to re-embrace it, this was a great webinar. So, and we will have the recording available too. So thank you so much, Colleen.
My pleasure, my pleasure.